Well, thank you for being here. For those of you who have seen us speak at all at our company in the past, I mean, you've seen a lot of film reels and a lot of fun stuff. I can tell you, sit through this, and the gentleman behind me, I think, is going to show you some fun. This is the TED conference. This is my slideshow: technology, entertainment, and design. The zero, the one, the zero, that's it. That's the binary code. Everything in our space is derivative of that. It's the DNA of technology. It has been my life in various forms over the years, and I want to share with you a little bit of the lessons, painful and otherwise, that I've learned, and share with you the perspective that we've gained. And you never stop learning, especially in this space, and you begin to look at binary code differently. And for those of you that don't know what binary code is, I mean, any series of ones and zeros can be used to create anything, any combination, whether it's a 3D object or just straight code, things you see on the internet, television. This is how we communicate. We used to watch Star Trek, and we'd get up on the deck and beam each other around planets. Well, we actually do that. Analog voice has now become digital packets affixed along with metadata on photons, little pieces of light, and put in fiber optic strands and sent around the world. So there's a lot more to those zeros and ones than we think, and I'm going to talk about that today. My personal experience, well, I don't know how relevant it is now, other than the bumps and the bruises that we all get along the way in life and certainly in our space. I graduated college in the summer of 1987. I was a programmer growing up. I programmed in BASIC, something called Advanced Basic, and then Pascal. It was object-oriented programming languages. It was always changing. It became very difficult. Imagine moving to a country, learning the language, and somebody calls you in 3 years and says, you know what, English has just changed to Spanish, but you know what? We really think Hungarian sounds good for the next couple of years. And that's a lot like what it was, trying to be a programmer in the 70s and the 80s. And we all know how technology has changed our lives so rapidly. Well, that was my experience. Along the way, I also saw a TV show, Family Ties. Developed a little sort of boy-man crush on Alex Keaton. Just thought he really had his act together. Said, well, I like this programming thing, but boy, the economy, banking, that's ultimately what drives the economies. So I went to Wall Street, graduated summer of '87. Fall of '87, at this point I forget if it was Black Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, but it was a very black day. The industry that I'd chosen to be my future had crashed. It had effectively died. They started laying off thousands of people, and I'd just woken up, right? And so how do you deal with that? Everything you thought you could rely on is gone. Well, you adjust, right? So I migrated over to the next great industry. I took my finance and math background into real estate. 1989, came to Florida. Really the perfect time to join the real estate industry. Immediately crashed. I won't spare you, I'll spare you all the details, but it just seems like in our economy, which has become increasingly global, we're connected out across this world. Somebody hiccups in Greece, and that's what it is. It's a hiccup. We'll get over it. But it's sending our market, in incredible directions on a daily basis. If the mayor of Liechtenstein wakes up tomorrow and he misses his cable bill, the Dow Jones will go down by 350 points, I promise. So that's what happens now. The crash in '87, the crash in '89. Thank God for Al Gore. He came along in 1995 and invented the internet. What a wonderful day that was, right? Because now, for me, I could take my education, I can take all that I knew about programming and math and science, and I could combine this into new opportunities, right? I'm sure we were all put on this earth to change the earth for the better in just a little way, and now Al Gore gave me the opportunity. Good Democrat, I'm a Republican, but nonetheless I embraced it, because that's what we do. We cross the aisle in this world so well in politics. So 97, 98, 99, the world was changing. Technology was changing the world faster and faster and faster, and you could make money doing it. You could help people, you could communicate, you could reach out. Well, what happened in the spring of 2000? Now I was really in trouble, right? The spring of 2000 was a huge crash. It was the internet crash, the bubble burst. Well, it's like waking up. I always tell this to friends in sports and otherwise. It's like waking up. You've been a football player your whole life, and then somebody suddenly says, "Sorry, folks, the park's closed." Right? John Candy from that great movie. Well, same with the internet. Nothing I did mattered. Nobody would pay for it. Nobody would fund it. If you had R&D and you needed funding, you couldn't get it. It was all about Wall Street and what they would pay for and what they could make money on. Well, it took me a while to realize there was no crash, right? The internet didn't crash. It took me a while to get over the bumps and the bruises of it, but internet traffic kept growing and growing and growing. There wasn't even a hiccup. The world didn't notice. Wall Street didn't matter, right? We kept going to the internet more and more and more for shopping, for talking, for communicating. And that's, really what hit me. We were keeping score the wrong way. It was always about, well, look, I think I got a cure for Alzheimer's. Oh, that's terrific. Well, can you sell it? Everything has been about, can you sell it? Can you pay for it? Can you make money off of it? And so how do you get over trauma in life? Well, you realize what's important. And in life, it's our family, right? In business, sometimes you have to look a little harder. Well, what we ultimately are, and what I figured out as a technology guy, is that technology doesn't matter at all. This is the TED conference. I'm sorry. I know the founder of this conference is an incredible man. Technology, entertainment, design, TED. Technology does not matter in the long run. It helps, right? Today's great technology that helps us communicate, it's tomorrow's roadkill. Now, it matters a lot right now, and a new technology will matter a lot later. It's our humanity that counts, right? It's the story we want to tell. Why do we need technology? In our space, telecommunications, entertainment, it's all about storytelling. We all as humans have a story to tell, right? We wake up in the morning, we go to school, we talk to our teachers, we say, look, I've got a dream and I want to share it with you. I have a poem. I've got a song. There's a song in my heart. I want to connect with people. I want people to know I matter. Or if I don't care about that, I want to help change things for the better. Well, technology, that gives us the tools. That binary code, the circle, the line, the circle, that's any combination of ones and zeros can get you exactly what you need as a tool to tell your story, to help the world, to communicate with people, to connect with other countries. Ultimately, it is our humanity that counts. I'm a core technology guy. My employees make fun of me all the time. I can't stand email, right? If you want to reach out to me or, just pick up the phone, right? I get 300 emails a day. I get 5 phone calls a day. There's something a little wrong with that. People in business today, they send an email, send it up to a server, connects over with another server, drops down to somebody's desk about 10 feet away, right? That's what technology gives us, right? So we want to connect. Now let's talk about the entertainment space and what I've done with it, how I've taken these lessons, and how I think a lot of us in our space have taken these lessons to do something. I've begun to look at the zeros and the ones a little differently. It's, if you imagine that the circle on the left side, well, that's content, right? And the circle on the right, well, that's the audience, or in business, we call that the consumer. Well, what is content? Well, in our space, it's easy, right? It's a movie, it's a TV show, and we want to push it out into theaters, we want to push it out over the web. Well, content, is really more than that. It's a single note of music. It's your words speaking, to a friend or to somebody across the other side of the globe. It's Shakespeare, incredible poet, right? Well, how did Shakespeare get his message across to his audience? Well, back then it was Stratford-on-Avon. It was a stage. He'd write beautiful words. He'd get the actors to feel it and convey his words across that stage to that audience. So that's the connection I want to make for you, because the world hasn't changed much. That circle on the left is the poet. It's the note of music. It's the filmmaker. It's the creator. To get it over that wall or across that bridge to the other circle, that's your audience. Well, there are a lot of people that have helped us to do this. And this is what I learned about the Wall Street crash, the first one and the second one. And I don't know, this year, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, right? What I've learned about it is that just as I valued the wrong things back in 1989 and in 1997 and in the year 2000, we're still making the same mistake today as a society. We're giving value to the messenger. The heavyweights in this equation, if you were to take that line and draw it as a horizontal, it looks like one of those old-fashioned barbells, right, with the big lead balls on the side. I didn't work out much. I think the last time I worked out, they were big spherical lead weights. Well, getting content from one side to the other across that bridge, it's been television, NBC, ABC, CBS. It's the internet, America Online, broadcast.com, Netscape. Think of the people that have been there in the past. Blockbuster Video, right? You used to go down, you wanted to get that content, that movie, that great sort of piece of work, and you'd rent it in a cassette, and you'd take it home and pop it into a machine that was a lot like an 8-track tape player. So what we've done on Wall Street, and oftentimes we've done in society, is we've placed way too much emphasis and way too much value on the bridge between those two spheres. The heavyweights of this equation have always been content and consumer. You know, we have this dream to inspire people, right? It makes us feel good. It's what we live for. It's our humanity. It's what makes us special. And we've got this desire to be inspired. Sometimes we want to be creators. Sometimes we want to be audience. Well, look what we've done over the years. America Online, you know, neat little chat room, right, and this colorful page. It became so valuable on Wall Street, it became big enough to buy Time Warner. Time Warner took, 100 years, many decades to sort of build up its brand name and its enterprise, and along comes Steve Case and figures out this sort of neat mousetrap of technology, and the next thing you know, he owns Time Warner. Broadcast.com, for those of you that remember, it was a website, and you could play little video clips of college games or Major League Baseball. Well, Broadcast.com became more valuable than baseball itself for a short time. And it was bought by Yahoo. The only thing left of Broadcast.com, it's the Dallas Mavericks, because Mark Cuban sold at the right time and he bought a basketball team. So from Blockbuster Video to Broadcast.com to AOL to Yahoo, they're either dead or they're irrelevant. I can tell you the future. It's the one smart thing I can say today, is that in this world, everybody dies. In this world of technology, they all go away. What's important in the end, we still have, our dreams, our hopes, our poetry, but the path along the way is littered with stories of companies that would rise and fall. And they're like the toll booths on the highway. But now we're in a new world, right? It's digital distribution. At many companies around the world, when you create a film, it's heavily reliant on computer-generated imagery. You're not just telling a story, but you're building the technology, the 3D objects, the imagery to help tell that story. It might be an animated human being in the Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It might be a massive robot in Transformers, right? So creativity, technology all blend beautifully together to do what? To help tell a story, right? So technology, they're the tools we use to express our humanity around the world. And now with a push of a button, we can get that to any theater around the world. Well, it's strange because we have that technology today, but we still put canisters of film in trucks and we send them to theaters. The big names today in the internet, the kids in the rafters know this, right? It was MySpace a few years back. It's Facebook now. We're doing our research on Wikipedia. I mean, that one kind of bothers me, by the way. How Wikipedia replaced the Encyclopedia Britannica, I'm not sure, right? Because you cite the press to get the content up, so now we're trusting articles to create facts. But look, what I can tell you, and I hate for this to sound provocative, Facebook, Twitter, Wikipedia, just as AOL, Blockbuster Video, and Broadcast.com, these are the big names, the giants of our time. It's tomorrow's roadkill, right? It's the one thing we know is that the way to survive in technology is you've got to reinvent yourself all the time. Now, we know the people at Facebook are brilliant. They'll reinvent themselves. But if Facebook is even a brand that we care about 10 years from now, it's because it will have been reinvented time after time after time. And it will be a different company based on a different technology. It won't even touch the technology that we have under us today. So the key to survival is not the technology, the tools, it's our humanity, right? Now in film, let's talk about that for a minute because that's the space that we live in. we have a story to tell. You know, we all have a story to tell. The wonderful thing now is you can take it, as you've seen, from a piece of paper into a computer. The paintbrush is still important with us, but the keyboard, the stylus is just as important, right? The tools may have changed, the way we express ourselves and the way we deliver our art and our story out to the world, but ultimately it's still our story. It's our 3-act structure in a film. It's the way we communicate to our parents. It's that single note of music. It's that poem. So technology in the end, I mean, the way I've survived, the thought that we may have a crash every 3 years for the rest of my life, is understanding what's important. It is who we are. We are in a world of ones and zeros. We are surrounded by it. But now, with a push of a button, we can take our stories and send it all over the world. So now we've got a new challenge, right? Everything we say, as we tell our kids all the time, look, you put it on the internet, it is permanent. It's like a bad tattoo, right? And kids, I'm telling you, your college guidance counselors are watching, or the people that accept you into these schools. And so in our space, we have an ability to tell a great story to the entire world. We get global very quickly. You know, the bad news is, at my worst moment, I also have the power to be a jerk around the entire world with a push of a button. Well, that's a scary proposition. So the level of responsibility that we need to accept in the content creation business, in the film business, we as people, is that much greater. You know, and so look, I think content needs to be global. It needs to be globally relevant. In Hollywood has this way of thinking that it knows everything. Well, Hollywood has a hard time even knowing what people in Kansas need, let alone what people in China or elsewhere need. Some of the greatest stories of our time in children's animation, you know, there's one great company that just manages to get it right all the time in big animation films for kids. But even then, 40 to 50% of their box office is all in America, right? Well, we don't have 40 to 50% of the world's children, which means that families and children, the audience, that circle on the right, around the world, they're not getting what they need because we're not creating stories for them. The only way you create stories for them is you help them tell the stories. You teach them how to tell the stories. You teach the people of China and Europe and elsewhere that 3-act structure that Aaron and Chuck talked to you about earlier. So, you know, that's it, right? It may be built on ones and zeros, but the ones and zeros don't matter. Technology doesn't matter, because the one thing I can tell you, in the technology space, everybody dies. And if they survive at all, it's because they've been reborn. And the other thing I can tell you is, through it all, we still have with us the words of Shakespeare, dragged across that stage by those actors to the people in that audience. And Shakespeare is still with us today, but broadcast.com has become the Dallas Mavericks, and you know, they had a good year, but everything passes in time. Anyway, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.